Somewhere in the 31st century, depending on which part of the canon you are playing in, you are a Mechwarrior, a brave pilot and soldier, trained for years to fight at big stompy Battlemechs, whilst ignoring the sounds of death all around you. You find bland generic metal music tends to help.
Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, which is far from the 5th Battletech game, or even Mechwarrior game, it might be the 5th one focusing on stuff. Mercenaries. Possibly? Maybe? Wait a minute.
The point is, this one has co-op.
If you've ever heard of Battletech or Mechwarrior, these games are based on the old tabletop wargame and its RPG spin-off. Battlemechs are essentially walking super tanks from a not-so-super distant future where humanity spread out into the cosmos, fractioned into factions, and then decided they all needed more cosmos for themselves, as we do. In an effort to blow the shit out of each other more spectacularly, they invented mechs, and then promptly blew the shit out of each other, so well that they could barely travel or make mechs anymore.
In Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, you take command of a pitifully small mercenary company during the rebuilding of the Inner Sphere. Wars still wage almost constantly, but now they're on a smaller scale. As you fight to pay your bills and improve your company's available mech selection, time will go by, technologies will be rediscovered, in some cases too slowly to be very useful to you.
Is that your new Mauler?
That's my new Mauler.
And new mechs will be eventually built, allowing you access to shinier toys to play with.
Well, it probably was there, yeah. I thought it was on the sensor.
You, buddy.
Jesus Christ!
You to hell.
So how does the probably at least 20th Battletech mech simulator play? Well, for a start, it's immersive as
Online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Light that complex up like a New Year's celebration, Commander.
Down.
Some of the better elements of this drop off pretty early, but all in all, the sense of scale the game presents is the best by far of any Mechwarrior game before it. The in-cockpit view looks and feels great.
Engaging.
And being able to get up close to your poor, scarred little baby in the mech bay after a tough mission attaches you more to the machine that carried you through hell and back.
I'm gonna go look at the crab real quick. No!
Oh, your baby.
Mech combat here has been practically perfected, with a great blend of inverted commas realism meted out with a precise balance of fun. Definitely more game than simulator. To say combat is impactful would be a vast understatement. Weapon visual and sound effects are well balanced, now at least, to make you really feel that 120mm cannon you just fired. Even more impressively, the target will feel it too. Damage systems in the game are second to none, with all potential effects of that damage being recognisably different. This becomes even more obvious when you get back to the mech bay and notice that bad laser hit you took to the shoulder really did melt a line across the plate. The environment is also a viable target. Trees burn and buildings crumble in very satisfying ways, both tactically and visually. It's that pesky jumper using a wall for cover. Smash through it and crush the little coward.
Mechanically, combat is also fantastic. The various weapon systems from the tabletop all have translated very well into the very best version of themselves that you could hope for while staying true to the choices they present. Mechs are customizable in a relatively lore-friendly way.
I'm making this an AC-2 machine gun platform with missile backup.
I'm ready to see it go.
I don't need to f***ing aim.
Assuming you don't have the Call to Arms DLC, that is, and especially with the Heroes DLC inclusion of systems like ECM, TAG, and NARC, mixing loadouts in your lance of mechs can make for some very effective strategies, until they invariably fall apart with someone's torso.
If this is your first mech game, the tutorial actually does a pretty good job of introducing the basic game systems, which have remained largely unchanged for over 25 years. As long as you can ignore the personalities of every character involved, including yourself. And I suggest you pay attention, because this game pulls its punches a lot less than many of the mech mashers that came before it, and there are no difficulty settings.
It is very
Dude, there's a
specific.
dropship directly ahead.
Yeah, I see it. Let's.
Hostile forces. Link up with
You don't say.
Gallivanting about the Inner Sphere provides a variety of opportunities for you to sell yourself to whoever's paying. Repeatedly fighting for or against factions will affect your reputation with them, providing more lucrative contracts in the future from your preferred employers, even if the campaign does stuff this up by making you fight your whole way around the sphere.
Why do
You know,
they hate us?
Spears. Because they're technically independents. Actually better
Not
off
being.
just picking a fight with like 2 major superpowers and then just
Well, yeah,
siding with
yeah,
anyone
because-
that hates them.
Because the superpowers are actually independent,
Yeah.
and the independents have a coalition with each other.
The maps you'll be doing all this fighting in are often small but detailed. It would have been nice to have a few more types of planet to fight on, but the selection there look really good, especially the first time you look up in an asteroid belt. Much like previous games in the series, these environments can have effects on the way your mechs function. Desert planets, for example, will make you run hotter, and storms limit sensor range.
For fans of the franchise, you'll find that the level of detail put into the mechs themselves is pretty amazing. Okay, the homogenized style applied to mechs designed on opposite sides of the sphere does kind of suck, but each chassis itself is detailed and as recognizable as they were in the tech readouts. Particularly impressive are the accurate cockpit designs and attention paid to each mech's range of torso rotation. For the most part, only slight deviations from the lore were made in order to make the loot pool a bit more exciting, adding tiers to weapons and some unlockable chassis upgrades in order to give you more interesting things to spend your money on.
Now, I love this franchise, I have done for decades, and I'd like to be nice to it, so we're going to be really, really gentle as we go into criticising some of the things we don't like quite as much about the game.
The RPG elements in Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries are incomplete crap. Pilots aren't unique or even random enough to be slightly interesting. They're just a picture with some skill points and a max cap to make you replace them later. There's nothing to interact with on foot, no one to talk to except for campaign quests, and you don't want to have those conversations, I promise you.
When you have a moment, come to the bridge and talk to my annoying, boring ass again. Failure in this game is punishing and your pilots have permadeath, but the game barely acknowledges it. My first playthrough, I saw a headshot kill a pilot I'd had for years just 10 meters in front of my face. I get back to the dropship and the game decides the best way to double down on this emotional experience was to have my complete wanker of a mechanic complain about how difficult his f***ing job is.
You know how long I've spent stripping each one of those components and putting them back together again?
Now, having mentioned the mechanic, we might as well rip the plaster off. The plot.
It's incredible.
And that's that. Did you like the cutscene?
What?
Writing.
It's connected to your father in some fundamental way.
I wish I had an answer for you, Commander.
Characters.
Speak to Rihanna. Oh
I
god.
don't want to do that.
And voicing.
Why were they worth killing for?
Your voice. It's the delivery.
Yeah, it's awful.
He's a
It's like
Really awful.
yeah.
Who is this Mary Poppins tosser?
Yeah, right, that's a lot of bollocks, isn't it?
Why does he work for the lamest Thunderbird?
He's joking, I think.
How is it possible to make a player character this bland?
That'd be nice.
Yes, that
How much
would
do they
be
pay to
nice.
say that?
Why is my subordinate in charge? Employer
but you're
Rihanna, I told you
criminals.
she was our boss.
Say.
When do you shut up?
Farhad, you want to...
No, I wondered why he was standing here. Oi, mate!
Oh right, she's making it.
And why would I care about the most predictable things imaginable happening?
From somewhere out there, in uncharted space.
You can make it sound mysterious all you like, but it's the most well-known bad guy of the Battletech universe. In my opinion, most Mechwarrior games haven't been great at conveying the larger context of your actions within an incredibly vast and interesting universe, but in the past these games appealed almost solely to prior fans of the franchise who could easily fill in the blanks for themselves. Now, with newer, younger players picking this game up, you need to actually explain some things, and no, that shitty super abridged intro and newsfeed do not cut it. The intro to this video you're watching right now gives nearly as much detail, and it was a joke. While playing with Zach, he told me honestly that he would have had no idea about the lore if I wasn't there to explain it from prior knowledge, and this is despite me making him read the news as it was updated throughout the whole campaign. Without wanting to spoil it too much just yet, the game fails to even give context to its own main plot. It is stupid and written by people who absolutely do not know how to convey an interesting mystery in a rich, expansive universe.
We need it in full working order.
Still, as the main campaign starts in 3015 and none of the mech designs are in the game, it's nice at least to have a Mechwarrior game that is a bit distanced from the
Clans.
What I intend.
The truth is always clans. Just tell me one thing, Piranha. What would this mean to a player who didn't know anything about the clans? At the end of the day, this likely matters more to an old fanboy like me than the majority of you, but it would likely matter more to everybody if they bothered explaining any of it well at all.
I'm not certain why.
Of course, you don't have to care about the plot. You can even turn it off by playing career mode in the Heroes of Innisphere DLC, a feature which should definitely have been in the vanilla game. So what about the rest of it?
The soundtrack is usually a little disappointing in Mechwarrior games, as they all sound somewhat fitting but similar and lazy. This one is no exception. It isn't awful, but it sure could have been better. If you've played any prior Mechwarrior game, you'll probably feel like you recognise it.
It might be a bit tough for you to pay attention to the music anyway, as it's likely to be drowned out by your frustrated screams at your AI teammates, unless you play 4-player co-op. They are thick, with a K, not the other one, don't get excited, and require constant management and babysitting to prevent them from running into ambushes and crossfire. They'll do it anyway because they are secretly competing to get the highest damage bill, but your intervention will keep them alive a little bit longer.
Okay.
Oh my god, guys, stop. Stop. Engage the f***ing enemy, would you?
And in case you were wondering what happened to our channel's normal focus, co-op is the most basic it could be. Co-op players have access to almost nothing unless you grab a few mods off the workshop.
Implement a map, assholes. Like a shareable map.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All they can really do is take control of a pilot and fight with you. Yes, this game is fun to play together, but not because co-op is in any way well catered to. And that's really all there is to say about it. Yes, you can play this together. In combat, it's great.
Hit me. I took the right arm off.
Nice.
I've shut the. He's gonna bonk me.
Not if he's got no arms, he won't.
Thank you.
But the rest of the time, your partner really won't have much to do.
Moment to moment when you're actually in the gameplay. It's
Great,
fun.
but the actual game is not set up for
multiplayer. I mean, to be honest, it's barely set up for like a satisfying long-term single-player adventure.
Thankfully, there is a lot of combat involved in this game, which will mean the two of you will be running hundreds of missions together, or rather, the same handful of missions hundreds of times. Obviously, this does get a little bit repetitive. To the devs' credit, they made combat so engrossing that once you're in a mission, you tend to forget about the last 30 times you did the exact same thing, but the selection of mission types and planets really could have been better. In an ideal world, each system would present a mini-campaign of its own, which could be more lore-friendly, realistic, and involving. The current structure leaves you hopping planets as if jump ships were Japanese trains. Not only is this not the case in Battletech lore, it also means you have to watch this bloody loading screen constantly.
Although the sense of scale you get from standing next to your mech's foot in the mech bay is great, the scale of conflict is not. One day maybe there will be a Mechwarrior game that allows your mercenary company to actually field a company of 12 mechs, but in this one sadly we have only 4. Half the number available in the last Mechwarrior installment. Because of this, engagements never really feel all that big. Even full-scale planetary invasions are a little tame, despite being able to drag in allied reinforcements.
What this, along with the limited mission selection and diabolical campaign, leave you with is limited scope, longevity, and little incentive to continue once you've filled your mech bay, something you'll have to do to finish the campaign anyway due to its difficulty.
I had hoped that there would be a point at which we could get a bigger dropship and expand our company, but clearly this was a pipe dream, which the devs unceremoniously wrapped in myoma and applied a charge to.
Look, it explains it somewhere here, then you'll laugh.
Finally, a friendly warning: there is no way to stop a 20-foot tall bipedal tank from having some sway as it moves. This is extremely bad for those who suffer from motion sickness. As you probably know if you've seen any of our other videos, I'm often affected by this, hence much of Nathan's co-op time in this game has been spent with friends instead.
Could they not have changed the lighting on your co-op
No,
partner?
no, I am yet to be unlocked, Nathan.
You know, in Hitchhiker's Guide with that vehicle that's made of like ultra black material where it actually sucks in light. That's basically what you are in this game.
In conclusion, it's obvious where the focus of development was in Mechwarrior 5. They wanted to give the players the ultimate close-up mech combat experience, and in most ways they succeeded, but in doing so many other aspects of this game were neglected, and had they not, this honestly could have been an incredible game instead of just pretty good.
There you are. Come on, everyone's waiting.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do that thing on Twitter, retweet, quote tweet, tweet.
I think I'm too old to even understand all the things that you should do, but please do them, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah!
See you soon, everyone.
See you soon!
I thought you said you'd been extinct for 200
I like the shadowy image watching over from the corner.